Charles Oliveira sends message to Islam Makhachev. Charles Oliveira vs. Islam Makhachev is coming up right around the corner, and things are heating up. This matchup has the UFC industry shook. Knowing both guys are absolute warriors, it's hard to guess who's going to be taking the belt home. As we all know, the champion belt belongs to Charles Oliveira, but he currently doesn't have it because he was stripped after his last match against Justin Gaethje. Things went downhill for Oliveira after he weighed about less than a half a pound off of what he was supposed to weigh. A lot of people blame it on the scale, but either way, it wasn't a good thing for Oliveira. He had to go into his match against Justin Gaethje knowing that even if he won, he'd be stripped of his champion belt. But of course, Charles Oliveira showed that he is the true champion of the lightweight division and completely dominated Justin Gaethje. Charles Oliveira has defended his title belt time and time again against many tough opponents. But many people would say that Charles Oliveira has never been up against an opponent as threatening as Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev and his head coach Khabib Nurmagomedov has been training for this moment their whole life. Islam Makhachev did his best at quickly climbing to the top of the lightweight division. But he is left with one man to face, and that is the UFC lightweight champion, Charles "The Bronx" Oliveira. Although Charles Oliveira was stripped of his belt after his last match, Charles said a famous quote that'll never be forgotten. Charles first complained about the UFC weight scale being off, and then continued to say the champion has a name and his name is Charles "The Bronx" Oliveira. The only thing is, Charles Oliveira never knew he'd be going up against Islam Makhachev next. To everyone's surprise, Islam Makhachev quickly made his way to the top of the lightweight division, and many actually believe that he'll be the guy to take out Oliveira. It's definitely hard to say, knowing Charles Oliveira to be the savage that he is. But after checking out this leaked footage of Islam Makhachev training with his head coach and former UFC champion Khabib Nurmagomedov, things are looking pretty intense, and Charles has a lot to say about this so-called leaked footage. Khabib Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev were both basically raised by Khabib's late father. It's said that Khabib's father trained these two to one day become world champions. Well, all I know is it definitely worked on Khabib, considering he actually went 29-0, then retired from the UFC. Now, Khabib is working with Islam and trying to help him make that happen for himself. If you ask me, it's starting to look more and more like their plan is falling into play. All I know is Charles Oliveira vs. Islam Makhachev will definitely be the most interesting match of the year. And we've had some pretty awesome matches this year. I was already super excited to watch this match, but after watching Charles Oliveira react to Islam Makhachev's training footage, I'm even more excited. I think Charles Oliveira has a tougher opponent than he thought he'd have, and his champion title is at risk. For today's video, we'll be taking a closer look at Charles Oliveira reacting to Islam Makhachev's training footage. Things start to get very interesting, so be sure to stick around and watch this video until the end as we get into things one detail at a time. Trust me when I say you won't want to miss a thing. Thanks for stopping by and visiting us at Warrior Report. We post daily UFC updates and news that you really should know about if you're a fan. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and comment keyword UFC 280 to enter a chance at winning our brand new iPhone giveaway. One lucky viewer is picked at the end of each month. Now, let's jump into this video and take a closer look at Charles Oliveira reacting to Islam Makhachev's training footage. This matchup has the UFC industry shook, and all I know is I cannot wait to see how things go down when these two savages step foot into the octagon together. This will be the toughest opponent that either challenger has faced. While Charles Oliveira is coming out of Brazil and training every day to become the best version of himself, Islam Makhachev is on the other side of the world in his hometown of Dagestan, training every day with former champion Khabib Nurmagomedov. This UFC card will be one of the best cards we've ever received, and I'm excited to see what goes down. With Charles Oliveira vs. Islam Makhachev, Dillashaw vs. Sterling, and Sugar Sean O'Malley vs. Peter Yan, this UFC card will either break or make these guys, and all I know is nobody wants to be the one to break, which makes these matches so interesting. These nail-biting matchups will have the UFC industry shook. Mark my words. Charles the Bronx Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev will be the best match that we've received in a very long time.